The world is changing faster than ever, and it's almost impossible to keep up. There's violence in the streets, market panics, horrifying scandals, the rise of AI, and overall, it's hard to shake the feeling we're all living on the brink of World War III. So a question has to be asked. Does your asset protection strategy actually reflect this? January is usually the month when people start thinking about making their financial resolutions. So with that in mind, let's look at what the biggest threats to your assets are in 2026 and what you can do to protect them. Right now, around 12 trillion US dollars of global financial wealth is held offshore. A lot of that is still improperly structured or exposed to regulatory, legal, and tax risk. So the first step is to start examining your portfolio to see where you might be exposed and what potential risks exist. In this region alone, an estimated 500 to 700 billion US dollars is set to transfer from one generation to the next before 2035. But in 2026, estate planning has just become so much more difficult due to extraordinary levels of financial uncertainty. So how much uncertainty are we talking about here? For that, let's look at the price of gold, the literal gold standard of uncertainty. All over the world, central banks are buying up gold in huge quantities. Many are in large countries like China, India, Turkey, and Brazil, but also smaller ones. In fact, the biggest purchaser of gold will surprise you. It's Poland. And in 2025, the Central European nation went on a splurge and now has more gold reserves than the European Central Bank. With so many countries buying it up, gold prices reached record highs in 2025, and just before Christmas, people began to wonder if it might even hit $5,000 per ounce in 2026. Then, almost straight after it did, and kept rising until it reached $5,595 an ounce, before dropping in value by 12%. Gold has always been a valuable asset, and most of the time it's stable, but it's still a part of the financial system. So when the experts say gold should only be a small percentage of your total asset holdings, now you know why. Even now, people still refer to gold as a safe haven. But in reality, there are no safe havens, especially in 2026. Instead, you need diversification to protect your wealth from growing threats. So what are the biggest threats to your assets in 2026? Well, you have criminal threats, including theft, fraud, and cybercrime. You have legal threats, like litigation, though that could also be the time and money you waste fighting bureaucracies, which brings us to government threats. New taxes, new tariffs pretty much every month, new regulations, new travel restrictions, and all of this causing panic and driving market volatility. Stock prices, commodity prices, currency fluctuations, and then, finally, we have geopolitics. This is the biggest concern for investors right now, and for good reason. All the global drama. But before we start changing the world, let's start a little closer to home and ways you can protect your assets from crime. Criminal threats such as theft, fraud, and cyber attacks are all on the rise. According to the FBI, cybercrime rose by 33% between 2023 and 2024 at a cost of $16 billion. More and more, AI is playing a part, but human-level threats like social engineering still remain. Common sense will help you fight both. That means following personal security, privacy, and digital hygiene best practices, keeping all software up to date, ensuring your staff are properly trained to recognize threats and remain vigilant. It also means decentralizing your assets, keeping your physical assets in secure vaults and your crypto in secure wallets with service providers you know and trust. This could mean litigation or compliance issues. So once again, do your due diligence and your compliance checks. Also, knowing the laws of the jurisdiction you operate in and having trusted advisors on the ground is the best way to minimize types of risks. This sort of stuff often takes years to build up. For example, as you probably know, Jeremy owns real estate all over the world, often in places which are very bureaucratic, like Europe or Latin America. So he had to do it all the hard way. But having that network, having those professional connections and trusted referrals, as a client of Millionaire Migrant, that's a lot of value right there. If you're worried about having too many eggs in one basket, we can help you diversify, whether that's investing in real estate or other offshore investments. Same thing with asset protection, estate planning. If predatory litigation is a huge concern for you, we can help you set up an asset protection trust offshore, help you choose the right jurisdiction for that trust, and maybe even look at obtaining a second citizenship or residency there as part of your custom-made blueprint. Over 200,000 millionaires are expected to change their tax residency in 2026. Why is that? Well, the obvious answer is taxes, but also the countries which tend to tax the most are also the countries that regulate the most, while the countries with low or no tax are happy to just leave your business alone. So, at some point this week, I bet you came across an article, "Is there an AI bubble?" And if you look back 2 years, you will find the exact same articles with the exact same question. Some say yes, there's a crash coming in any minute. Others say no. The answer doesn't really matter though. What matters is that if there is a risk of a crash, you need to limit your exposure. This doesn't just mean limiting your exposure to tech stocks, but to stocks in general. Same goes for any asset. This month alone, we've seen tech stocks drop. We've seen crypto take a big hit. We've seen gold and silver losing value. The reason is simple. According to the World Economic Forum, geopolitical risk is the single biggest concern for global businesses right now. But does that really surprise you? Remember Greenland? Hard to believe that was only a couple of weeks ago. What about Venezuela? A couple of weeks just before that. One thing we can say for sure, it's been one crazy month, and the markets have the scars to prove that. So, if that's the source of risk, the best way to protect your assets in 2026 is to limit your exposure to geopolitics. That means getting away from heavy-handed governments and all their global drama so that you can focus on simply running your business. In 2026, it's no longer about diversification of assets. You need total global diversification so you don't get caught in the crossfire. That means a complete solution which combines second citizenship and residency with tax reduction, estate planning, asset protection, and much more. It's the ultimate protection for you and your loved ones. For peace of mind in this chaotic world, book your Millionaire Migrant Blueprint strategy call today.